4 tries to none, folks. Springboks 32-15 winners over Scotland at Murrayfield. Pretty messy from the Boks in their first half, to be honest, which also saw a red card to Scotland, 20-minute red card, remembering. But the South African scrum goes to work on the Scottish pack. And South Africa, once again, number one in the world. We'll see the world rankings later in the week, but ultimately, pretty good result from the Boks. And yes, Scotland kept tryless for a second time in 2 games against the Boks. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. If anyone's wondering, where's the Wales-Fiji match review? I haven't seen it yet. That was on at 2 in the morning here in New Zealand. I'll be watching that shortly. I have managed to avoid the result for that one, thankfully, thus far. It's been almost got spoiled by the South African commentators in this one, but I managed to rip off my earphones before they said anything. Scotland, penalty conceded early, meant that South Africa had a perfect opportunity to punish, and sure enough they did. The veteran Makazole Mpimpi runs in the first of his 2 tries. South Africa opting for a maul from the penalty. They get themselves an advantage. They spin it. Esterhuizen Pollard with the cross kick to Mpimpi. Try time in the corner. Missed conversion, but 5 points to nil. What a way to start the game for the Boks. Absolutely coming to town. Although, to be fair to the Scottish crowd, they stayed in the game. Like, they didn't just go quiet straight away. So that's at least something, because it can happen when the opposition scores an early try away from home. But the South African line speed, you felt like it was causing a bit of havoc for the Scottish attack early. But, man, did they make some mistakes. Like, South Africa got pinged a lot for kind of breakdown infringements, like not rolling, especially at the tackle, and a few for kind of obstructing the kickers on the chase, which has been a real theme of these Autumn Nations Series matches. The referees are laser focused. That's how that word works. Sorry, 5 a.m. kickoff for this one. But yeah, really, really a big focus for the refs. South Africa get pinged for not rolling. Although, interestingly, after that first penalty conceded, they kind of reversed it for Scott Cummings for a croc roll. Just as Finn Russell was kind of lining up the penalty croc roll on Mostert. I thought, yeah, that'll be a yellow card for sure, because it's a croc roll. You're not allowed to put your body weight on the limb. I honestly didn't see it being a red, although I know that the powers that be have decided that, croc rolls are going to be a real area of focus. Well, apparently, because that was a red. I honestly don't think that was a red even 6 months ago, but as I said, they have said they're going to focus on it, and apparently they weren't mucking around, because yeah, Scott Cummings gets red carded for that one. I just assumed it would be yellow, but 20-minute red card means it's kind of not game defining, I feel. But yeah, means the option for the Scotland penalty is gone, because the penalty gets reversed. But South Africa's execution, honestly, in the first half, you must have been shaking your heads with some of the lack of it, because Eben was good on defence. He pushed Duan van der Merwe into a touch, but then a couple of lineouts from South Africa go awry. There's one where they're really eager to push the Scottish pack, which is a forward down at scrum time, but they're too eager. They hit too early. Maybe it's a little case of the Scottish 9 just holding onto the ball a little bit longer, Ben White, because he got pinged for doing that later. But yep, too eager, so they get free kicked, and then obstruction for the kick. So, bang, 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 a bunch of errors in a row from South Africa. Scotland are able to put 3 points on the board, which, given they've got a man down, is not a bad return. And then, when they did get a free kick at scrum time, the South Africans, was it Kwaka that just knocked it on, trying to go quickly? It was just bizarre to see South Africa make seemingly kind of back-to-back-to-back errors. I was shaking my head. And then they conceded another penalty not long later at the breakdown, which meant the Scottish boys were able to take the lead despite a red card. Another penalty, 6 points to 5. So, if you make enough errors, eventually your opposition is going to punish you. They even went for a droppy on 26 minutes. I guess they just kind of keep the scoreboard ticking over, although it got charged down after a bunch of phases. And then the South African errors continue, man. Moody knocked it on, and they gave away a high tackle penalty. So, yeah, I can't remember a time when I've seen. I mean, maybe it's just first game. I know they've come off the Rugby Championship not too long ago, but yeah, just a bit of rust. It's just uncharacteristic. I mean, I know they've made a lot of changes to the squad, but yeah, got to give credit to the Scots for putting on some pressure as well and helping to kind of force some of these errors, although some of them are kind of unforced ones. Weirdly, though, the Thomas du Toit try kind of comes from an error in itself. Like, South Africa did finally manage to get themselves down the Scottish end of the field. They opted to go for a kind of close-range line-out attack. Why not? You got the 7-1 split going on. You got a bunch of fresh forwards, who know they can just go gangbusters because they're going to be replaced very early on in the second half. And the line-out ball bobbles from Mostert. I think Xander Fagerson comes up to try and be effective on the play, but the fact that he misses everything, Thomas du Toit grabs it, he's able to just canter over for what I believe was his first test try, and zero reaction. I guess he doesn't care. He'd rather scrum. It's a weird one, but Thomas du Toit goes over for his try, so that's points scored during the red card, 12 points to 6. Yep, they finally punish. I was just, not even a smirk. I was writing the note. The commentary team even mentioned it. Not even a smile. Yeah, bizarre. Sometimes guys focused on other bits of the job. Red card over, so with the replacement Williamson able to come on. So the score during the 20-minute red card finishes 7-6. So not really emphatic for the Boks. You wouldn't say they put the Scots to the sword. The Scots did pretty well during the red card period. And then Quokka Smith gets pinged not long later for not rolling. So another penalty conceded at the breakdown. And the Scots are able to get 3 points closer, 9 points to 12. Tit for tat, though. And if my tit, this doesn't sound right, is tries and your tat is penalties, the tries is going to win. I probably could have put that a lot better. Excuse me again, I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Leroux. Dinking kick into space, and it's a cool kick because he's not even kicking it to the man. He's kicking it where Mapimpi is going to be. Like, that's kind of next level telepathy stuff between these guys. Love to see it into the space, and all after advantage from a scrum as well. The scrum was bossing it throughout the entire game. So 19 points to 9. That's starting to look like a fairly comfortable lead. It did look like Scotland had hit back not long later through a Tom Jordan line break, which Ben White finished off, but the TMO finds there was a knock-on in the build-up. So that was unfortunate, because that would have made the game, proper edge-of-your-seat stuff. But it's the right call. So the try gets chalked off for that knock-on. So you go into halftime with the Boks having a 10-point lead. They've scored 3 tries to zip. At this point, I'm not thinking Scotland is likely to make a 10-point comeback. Just because they haven't scored a try. And barring the knock-on one, haven't really looked like scoring a try. They seem to have been pretty keen to keep the scoreboard ticking over. But 10 points is far from kind of dead and buried. Territory is 56-44 to the Scots, but possession stats is reversed, 56-44 to the Boks. Penalty count 6-4 with the Boks having a couple more. But the story of the first half is really how good was the Springbok scrum. It was dominant, and how many errors did the Boks make? Like, line out, as I said, shaky. Knock-ons, free kicks, and breakdown work just sloppy, by their own standards. Second half, Scotland did start opting for a 3. Again, it's another South African restart. Achia Sneeman's come on. He misses the ball from the restart, and then Quokka knocks it on. I don't think he saw it coming until the very last second. And then from the resulting knock-on, Thomas du Toit lost his footing at the scrum, so that was maybe the one scrum penalty that went against the Boks. 19-12, that's kind of back to game on, but then Russie pulls the trigger on the bomb squad. Sneeman's already on, but they replace 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8, I believe. So yeah, you're waiting to see what the effect is. Initially, it's not that much. Like, they maul it, but end up knocking it on. Then there's a bit of handbags, and Eben Etzebeth gets penalised for throwing Matt Fagerson on the ground. I feel like, my dad sent me messages about this. He doesn't like that kind of refereeing. I feel like that could have been just a talking to, but he pings Eben. I guess he's the captain. He's making an example of him. You need to set a better example. But I feel like Eben took that personally, because from the resulting lineout, I was laughing. Eben was just like, boom, slapped it out of the sky. You can give away the penalty, and then he just kind of takes it back. So I guess that's kind of, in his mind, probably a bit of justice that he was able to kind of get that back, because it wasn't really a throw to the ground. It was just a couple of guys doing what rugby players sometimes do. Scotland did have some momentum. I feel like this is the area where they needed a try, because they did have a solid 10 minutes of pretty decent pressure. Duan van der Merwe had a half break. Eben is the guy who caught him, just barely. And then eventually Matt Fagerson knocks it on real deep into the South African 22 after they've gone through phases. They really needed to score there, the Scots. Mapimpi gets a yellow card. He's offside in a position when the Scottish guys are hot on attack. They opt for touch the Scots. They lose the line out. That's another one. That's a missed chance, potentially game defining. More Scottish pressure. South Africa concede a penalty right in front of the sticks. And Scotland are like, we've got to take these 3 points. We've got to come away with something. I mean, that's easy for me as captain hindsight to sit here and be like, you needed the try, because they take the 3 points. It gets it to 19-15. That's proper game on. You score again, you're in front. But Mapimpi in the bin, maybe was the time to go for the jugular. It's kind of damage limitation for the Boks. So 19-15, and then the Boks just absolutely take the game away from the Scots. It was game on, but then it wasn't. Scotland's conceded a soft penalty at line-out time. Matt Fagerson playing Peter Steph's arm in the air. Penalty opted for the Boks, so they get that 3 points immediately back. So the yellow card for Mapimpi finishes 3 points apiece. So that's a win for the side who's got the man in the bin. That's the Boks. Then the South African scrum goes to work, wins a penalty in their own half, gets them up the field, wins them another penalty not too long later after Scotland knock it on their own 22. It's another penalty, so it's 25-15. Back to that secure kind of 2-score lead. And then South Africa just control possession. Scotland can't get their hands on the ball. Scotland are having to make a heap of tackles. They finally do get that second half try. Jasper Wiese, again, it's the scrum, just going to town. He's got pretty good footwork for the number 8 to make it, in control as he's able to kind of dot it over from the back of that big scrum. So it finishes 32-15. Ebenezer said after the game he felt like the scoreline didn't really reflect the game. He spoke really well after the game, I felt. But, it's hard. Yes and no, because the game was close for fairly large periods, but also 4 tries to none. It's kind of pretty emphatic. So, Statsman finishes 54-46, the territory to the Scots, but the possession stats are again reversed, so more ball for the Bok boys. They had more run meters, 417 to 312. Line breaks finished 5 apiece, but the Scottish boys had to make more tackles, 148 to 125. The penalty counts, 11 each, but interestingly, 5 of those penalties for the Scots are from their props. So that's how much pressure their scrum was under. Jordan at the back for the Scots had 91 meters and 3 clean breaks. But again, it's another one of those games where you look at the wingers like Duan van der Merwe and Blair Kinghorn, classy operators, both limited to 26 and 22 meters respectively. Highlights kind of how this Bok side is able to shut down that Scottish attack, which is good. Scotland scored tries, at least one in every game thus far this year. First game this year they've been kept tryless. Mapimpi 69 meters, 2 clean breaks. Two tries. Gilchrist 15 tackles for the Scots. Ebenezer led from the front, got man of the match, 11 tackles, 10 carries. Big at line out time. But yeah, interesting result. But I don't feel like it ever looked in doubt. It looked close at times. But yeah, Scotland, they needed that try. Just couldn't quite grab it. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. I'm going to go take my kids to school, get them breakfasted first, and then go and watch Wales and Fiji. So that'll still be a while. But you guys take care of yourselves. Let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.